Hello, Barcelona family. Like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have a huge revelation about Barcelona, but before that, we need to talk about other very important topics concerning our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. Hansi Flick has already begun to leave his mark on Barcelona's sports planning, and he is doing so with moves that do not go unnoticed. His first major wish, and probably one of the most surprising to date, is the name Ademola Lookman. The German coach, recently integrated into the Barcelona bench, has asked the sports management to do everything possible to finalize the recruitment of the Nigerian striker, who has been one of the great revelations of the European season thanks to his spectacular performances with Atalanta in Serie A and especially in the Europa League final, where he shone brightly. Lookman, at 27 years old, has reached footballing maturity in Italy after a long and unconventional journey that took him through England, Germany, and now northern Italy. His emergence at Atalanta was not immediate, but over time, he became one of the key pieces of Gian Piero Gasperini's scheme. His speed, dribbling, ability to move between the lines, and his goal-scoring flair have put him on the radar of several European clubs, but it is the new Barcelona coach who has raised his hand to make him one of the pillars of his sports project. Flick is convinced. He does not want to wait for the market to complicate. He has a clear idea of the type of team he wants to build, and for that, he needs committed, hungry players capable of adapting to his style of play. Lookman fits these criteria, but it is not just a tactical preference, but also a structural necessity. The team needs to renew its attack, incorporate new variants, regain unpredictability, and add players capable of making a difference in one-on-one situations. That's where the Nigerian comes in. However, the recruitment of Lookman raises reasonable doubts within the Barcelona community. On the one hand, his performances at Atalanta are undeniable. Not only has he scored important goals and provided assists, but he has also been a decisive player at critical moments, such as in the Europa League final, where he was the great protagonist with 3 goals against Bayer Leverkusen. On the other hand, he is a footballer who, until recently, had not managed to consolidate himself in any of the clubs he had been through. Could he reproduce his performances in an environment as demanding as Barcelona's, or is he a player who has reached his ceiling in a team that gave him freedom and confidence? From the sports management, with Joan Laporta and Deco at the helm, the possibility of incorporating Lookman is being seriously analyzed. The cost of the transfer is around €30 million, a relatively accessible sum compared to other operations, but still significant given the economic limitations the club is going through. Under the 1-for-1 regulation, any arrival must be accompanied by a departure or an adjustment to maintain financial balance. Although some exits have already taken place, there is no guarantee yet that the operation can be approached without first finalizing other exits or reducing high salaries. The player, for his part, would be delighted with the possibility of wearing the blue and garnet jersey. According to sources close to him, Lookman appreciates not only the sporting challenge but also the opportunity to work under a coach like Flick, who has shown total confidence in his potential. Additionally, the Nigerian striker believes he can adapt well to the possession and positional attack game, despite the fact that his natural profile fits better in contexts of rapid transition like the one he experienced in Italy. This tactical adaptation will, however, be one of the great challenges if his arrival is finally confirmed. One of the most convincing arguments in favor of the recruitment is Lookman's versatility. Although his natural position is that of a left winger, he has also played as a centre-forward and on the right flank. This ability to move across the entire attacking front makes him a very useful tool for a coach who wants a flexible, dynamic team capable of surprising the opponent with different formations and systems. Flick knows he will need alternatives and diverse profiles to compete at the highest level, especially if the rumors about significant departures on the offensive line are confirmed. But let's return to the fundamental question. Is the recruitment of Lookman worth it? The Barcelona supporters are divided. Some see in him a breath of fresh air, a different player with personality who does not hide and can bring goals, overflow, and speed. Others, however, think that the club should aspire to more established players, with a more stable track record in the major leagues or competitions. It is a legitimate debate. After all, Lookman is not a name that would have been in the predictions of the major recruitments of previous years. His emergence has been recent and, although impactful, it remains to be seen if he can maintain this level consistently. Flick, however, is convinced, and his word weighs more than ever within the club. The German arrived with the mission of building a competitive, ambitious team with a clear identity. It is not about making recruitments for the sake of it, nor about accumulating media names without sense, but about forming a balanced squad that complements each other well and where each piece has a clear function. In this scheme, Lookman has his place. He is a player of immediate performance, with an ideal age and an upward trajectory. Is this the type of recruitment the team needs, or would they prefer to bet on another profile, perhaps younger or with more experience in the elite? Do they think a project consistent with the club's aspirations is being built, or are there still too many unknowns to resolve? What seems clear is that Flick will not settle for what already exists. He wants a competitive team, and for that, he needs reinforcements, not many, but precise. In this logic, Lookman could be one of those medium-profile recruitments that end up making the difference. It will not be a simple operation, but if the club manages to free up the necessary margin and advance in the negotiations with Atlanta, the arrival of the Nigerian could become one of the most important moves of the summer. The path is not without obstacles, the competition for the player is not minor, and from England, there has already been talk of the interest of Premier League clubs that could offer superior economic conditions. However, the Barcelona card still carries special weight. The sports project, the style of play, the history of the club, and the possibility of being part of a new era could prove decisive in convincing the player. Now, it is up to the club to decide, but also to the supporters. What do the Barcelona fans think of this bet on a player like Lookman? Is he the revitalizing force the attack needs, or is it too risky a bet? The debate is open, and so is the future of the team. The second piece of news concerns an important decision in our beloved club. Hansi Flick has arrived with clear ideas, determination, and a firm goal: to build a competitive project based on order, tactical intelligence, and commitment. The German coach knows that to build a solid structure, he needs stable foundations, and in this sense, he believes that the defense must be one of the pillars on which the new Barcelona is built. With this mindset, he has identified an obvious need in the defense and proposed a concrete solution: Aymeric Laporte. This is not an improvised proposal or a name thrown out randomly. Flick wants him because he knows what he can bring. He has known him for years and is confident that his incorporation would mean an immediate leap in quality. Laporte, who has fulfilled his role with professionalism during his time in Arab football, has decided to take a step forward and seek new horizons. His stint at Al Nassr seems to have reached its end. The French-Spanish defender has experienced 2 seasons of competitive tranquility, with less media pressure and a more relaxed pace, but he feels he still has high-level football to offer. At 31 years old, he remains a defender with physical abilities, positional intelligence, and proven experience in high-demand contexts. He has played in the Premier League, competed in the national team, and been a protagonist in Champions League scenarios, and in the moment of reconstruction that the Blaugrana team is experiencing, this is not a minor detail. The possible arrival of Laporte at Barcelona represents a strategic opportunity that the club does not want to miss. In a market where quality and experience are often overvalued, incorporating a player of his profile without having to spend a large sum on the transfer is extremely attractive. The defender is seeking a termination with his current club, which could leave him in a free agent condition, a circumstance that significantly relieves the financial impact of the operation. In the offices, the first moves have already been initiated to gauge his predisposition, and Flick's green light has been key to activating this process. The German coach has insisted that the team needs footballers ready to perform from day one. Laporte, according to his analysis, is that type of player. He does not need to adapt to a major European league, he is no stranger to the pressure of wearing a historic jersey, and has the necessary character to assume the leadership of a defense that, according to the new technical staff, needs a strong and confident voice on the field. He is not a trendy defender, he does not make the headlines every week, but it is precisely this discreet, reliable, and committed profile that Flick is looking for to give stability to the last line. From a tactical point of view, Laporte brings many solutions. A natural left-footer with good ball control, he performs with ease in both a back four and schemes with 3 defenders. He has a facility for the long pass, knows when to break lines with a deep run, and possesses a game reading that allows him to anticipate rather than correct his positioning. He is intelligent and rarely disorderly. He does not get carried away by impetuosity but bases his game on sobriety and efficiency. He is the type of defender who makes his teammates better, who organizes, who conveys security with every action. Additionally, he is strong in aerial play, both in defense and attack, and his experience in the Premier League has toughened him in intense physical duels. He does not shy away from contact, knows how to impose himself in one-on-one situations, and maintains a competitive attitude throughout the 90 minutes. These details, which often do not appear in the summaries, are precisely the ones that Flick appreciates in a defender. The German is not looking for media figures but functional profiles that fit into his system. Laporte, according to his judgment, fits perfectly. From the player's entourage, the signals are also clear. Aymeric is ready to return to the big stage. He wants to feel important, he wants to compete for titles, he wants to regain the feeling of being at the center of an ambitious sports project. And the truth is that few offers could seduce him as much as that of the Blaugrana club, where history, present, and future combine in a mix of demand and opportunity that few players can refuse. Being under the orders of Flick, a coach who believes in him and has openly expressed his desire to have his services, is another factor that tips the balance in his favor. Other European clubs have shown interest in the defender. Galatasaray, with a guaranteed presence in the Champions League, has considered his recruitment as a priority. Olympique de Marseille has also entered the scene, seeking to strengthen its defense with an experienced defender. But none of these destinations can offer what Barcelona represents: an elite project, passionate supporters, a stadium that commands respect, and a coach who considers him a key piece in his defensive scheme. In this context, Laporte seems to be increasingly close to becoming one of the most relevant recruitments of the summer for the Blaugrana entity. The impact of his arrival would not only be sporting but would also bring balance to the locker room. Laporte is a respected professional, with a winning mentality and an impeccable track record. He does not need to be the center of media attention to be influential. He knows what it is like to coexist with renowned figures. He knows when to speak and when to listen. His role as a veteran could be key to guiding younger teammates during moments of tension, in decisive matches, in instances where calm is more precious than the spectacular. Flick knows this, and that is why he wants him. It is not a decorative recruitment or an incorporation by inertia, but a thoughtful decision based on solid sporting criteria. If the conditions are met and the club manages to finalize the operation, it will not only be a victory in the market, but a firm step in the consolidation of a project that aims to return to the top. The supporters, as always, have a fundamental role in all of this, and that is why it is fair to open the debate. What do the Barcelona fans think of the possible arrival of Aymeric Laporte? Does this type of recruitment inspire confidence in them? Do they think he is the right profile to lead the defense in this new cycle that begins with Flick at the helm, or would they prefer a different bet, perhaps younger or less established? The name Laporte generates consensus in a large part of the entourage precisely because he represents a certainty. Will Laporte be the first major recruitment of the new Blaugrana cycle? Will we see the French defender wearing the club's colors and commanding the defense with elegance and authority? Will he become one of the emblems of the Flick era? Everything seems to indicate that yes, and if it happens, it will not be by chance, but by conviction, because when you want to build a competitive team, every decision counts, and this would undoubtedly be one of the wisest. The third piece of news concerns a thunderbolt at Barcelona. Marc Casado could be experiencing a pivotal moment in his career. At 21 years old, this young midfielder trained at LAMINE has caught the attention of one of the giants of European football, Bayern Munich. The German club is ready to spend €65 million to recruit him immediately and take him to the Bundesliga, where playing time, a leading role, and an ambitious project await him. The news has shaken the offices and the consciousness of Barcelona fans, as beyond the economic aspect, much more than a market operation is at stake. It is one of the pieces that could embody the future of the style that has always identified the club. The most striking aspect of this move is that it is not a sale desired by the club. Quite the opposite, the club has no intention of parting with Casado and has made this known to the player's entourage. However, his freedom to decide his future has also been respected. If he wishes to leave, he will not be prevented from doing so. This is a stance consistent with the tradition of respect for players from a youth academy, but in this case, it generates an emotional conflict for many Barcelona supporters. Losing Casado is not like losing just any other player. It is losing someone who represents silent effort, talent without fanfare, perseverance, discipline, and, above all, commitment to a way of understanding football that is seen less and less. From Germany, Bayern has very clear ideas. This is not just any bet. They have studied the player for months, analyzing his interventions, his movements off the ball, his positioning, his tactical intelligence, and his leadership. Despite his youth, in Munich, they see him as a safe investment. They want to build part of their future around players who combine technique, temperament, and adaptability, and Casado fits perfectly into this profile. He is a modern midfielder in terms of game reading but classic in his commitment and sense of the collective. The type of player who always delivers, even if he doesn't make the front page. This interest did not arise overnight. 4 months, recruiters from the Bavarian club have attended matches where Casado has had minutes with the first team. The growing trust that Hansi Flick has placed in him has not gone unnoticed by Bayern scouts, and it is precisely this increasing participation that has driven the offer, a firm, ambitious, and tempting proposal, not only economically but also for the role promised to him. Casado would not go to Bayern to learn but to play, to assume responsibilities, to grow, yes, but from the forefront. Meanwhile, at the club, there is a mix of concern and frustration. Casado is deeply appreciated, his departure is not desired, and Hansi Flick has expressly requested his continuity. The coach considers him a key footballer in his game plan, someone capable of bringing balance, positional sense, composure, and commitment. Flick is aware that training a player like him from scratch is not an easy task, and even less so to find one on the market at a reasonable price. That is why he insists on him staying. Moreover, Casado has begun to integrate into the dynamics of the first team with admirable naturalness, making it clear that he is ready for bigger challenges. However, external pressure and the player's desire to feel valued could tip the balance. This is not a betrayal, far from it. Casado has not demanded to leave, he is still weighing the situation, but he has before him a sporting opportunity that few would refuse. Playing for one of the giants of Europe with an important contract and a relevant role is not something that comes along every day. And sometimes, when the door opens, it won't open again. This is where the real dilemma arises for the Barcelona supporters. Are we ready to let a player with so much future, who already knows the club, who understands the style, who has shown commitment and maturity, go simply because a powerful economic offer arrives? Shouldn't we, as a club, make an effort to retain him, to show him that here too he can grow, that here he has a role to play in the reconstruction of the project? The sale for 65 million may seem, from the outside, like a brilliant operation, almost inevitable in a context where the big European clubs pay astronomical sums for young promises and where any additional income helps to balance the accounts. The temptation is strong, but Casado's value goes beyond the numbers. His departure would leave a void difficult to fill, not only for what he offers on the field but for what he represents off it. We are talking about a young man who has climbed every possible rung, who has accepted every role, no matter how small, with humility, who has never complained, who has waited for his moment, and who, when it arrived, has stepped up. This is a profile that is rare in today's football, where many young players push to leave if they don't have immediate playing time. Casado has not done that. He has worked, he has obeyed, he has believed in the process. Losing him now would not only be a sporting mistake but also a symbolic defeat, because he is the type of player who should serve as an example for the younger ones, the mirror in which to look at themselves. If he leaves just when he is starting to consolidate, what message are we sending to the others? That training here guarantees nothing, that those who come up from the bottom must seek their future elsewhere because here they will not have a place? And there is something particularly painful in all of this. For the first time in a long time, a player from the youth academy who has all the qualities to triumph in the first team seems to have one foot out the door. Not for lack of level, not for attitude problems, not for questionable technical decisions, but because the context is pushing him towards the exit door. The ball is now in the player's court, and he, with the maturity that characterizes him, will make the decision he considers best for his career. But it is also time for the club to act, for the supporters to make their voices heard, so that we do not miss the opportunity to build a future where our talents do not dream of leaving but of staying and triumphing here. You, a Barcelona supporter, we ask you directly the question: what do you think of this possible departure? Would you accept a sale for 65 million, or would you prefer that everything be done to retain him? Your opinion counts, because in the end, players come and go, but the feeling remains. And decisions like this are also measured by what they mean for the soul of this badge. Marc Casado is at a crossroads. One leads to Munich, the other to becoming one of the references of a new Barcelona cycle. Only time will tell which path he chooses, but we, from the heart of this passion, cannot stop dreaming of seeing him triumph here, where it all began, because there are stories that deserve to be written at home, and his, without a doubt, is one of them.